Hi, I'm just here doing the check over on your Yamaha Grizzly 660. I did the check over as per my normal ATV service and check over list. And I guess what we're going to do is I'm just going to do the check over, and then I'll give you my opinion on whether or not you should be doing repairs. Just based on my opinion, you'd have to kind of take that with your own information for value of the bike and that sort of thing. But let's just go over what it would need. So just going to go down my list in no particular order. I kind of bounce around when I check the bikes over. So if I seem to skip around a lot, it's because I'm going to. First, engine oil. The engine oil dipstick is underneath this cover. You can tell that by the little oil can symbol. So anyway, I check the oil level in the bike as I do with everything that comes in. The oil level in this bike is over full, and quite a bit over full. So I don't know if that is because it's been filled too much with oil, or there has been gas leaking down through the carburetor into the cylinder head and down into the engine. It does not smell of fuel, so I'm thinking that somebody's just overfilled it. Load tested the battery. That guy is up there. I found on that the positive battery cable the negative battery cable, the bolt wasn't even screwed in. I did screw that back together and tighten it down. Load tested the battery. The battery would probably be fine. It's got lots of cold cranking amps, more than what it's rated at, which is common with a healthy battery. But that one is about 61% charged, so I would think that if you wanted to keep using the battery, take it out, put it on a battery maintainer and let it get charged up, and keep it on the battery maintainer until such time as you want to use it. Air filter in the air box is a K&N aftermarket filter. That guy is junk. I would take that out and throw it away if I was going to do the repair on it, and put a new, probably put a new OEM filter in it. Let's see. Air box. On your air filter box also, you'll see that we have these clips. There is supposed to be 4 of them. The 2 on the other side are missing, so you would need those other clips because the airbox cover is not being properly locked in position. On the back end of the bike, where I have your plate covered over with a rag because I don't like to show people's license plates. Tail light, the brake light is working, but the bulb, the side of the bulb for the tail light or your running light is blown, so that would need a new bulb put in it. Go up over to here and get a pry bar. We're going to need that in a minute for a couple of things. So this guy, lower steering post bearing, that is toast. That would need to be replaced. That requires all kinds of disassembly to be able to get it out of there. At the same time, you would do the upper steering post bushings, which are way up in there, and that requires partial removal of at least a good chunk of the front plastics. When you turn this guy, you can see all the movement that we get. And if you go over on the other side, it's even worse, because the left side inner tie rod end, you can see it's all loosey in the steering post. So that guy, I would have to check to see if the hole is egg-shaped and see if we can tighten that back up. The tie rod end joint itself, which is a ball and socket joint in here, it seems like it's okay, but I would have to see if the bottom of the steering post, if that actually needs to be replaced as well. So you also see on the bottom of the steering post that's spinning, so to the left of the rod end that's loose, you'll see a nut kind of in the center of your picture. That guy has backed off, and the steering post, so the steering post, that arm that connects to it, that your tie rod ends connect to, that guy's all loose as well. But so that needs a bit of steering repair work in the front end. Not even the worst problem with the bike, but definitely a safety issue, so that would have to be fixed. See, Right rear wheel bearing, that needs to be replaced on this side. Front right wheel bearing also needs to be replaced. Let's see, on the back end, left rear CV joint, that is damaged. As you can see, the grease has been leaking from the joint. All kinds of funky stuff going on back here. So we'll get, I need my, sorry, I needed my pry bar. So this would probably be the most expensive area of the bike. So for this, we've replaced the axle. The bike has 11,500 kilometers on it, so I wouldn't monkey around with just trying to replace an inner joint on this. I would put a new aftermarket axle in it. It would actually probably cost you less in the end. But the biggest problem back here is not the axle. It is actually... Give me a second. I was prepared and then I wasn't. All right. So we're going to go back here. And so first of all, when I stick this little, I'll call it a dipstick. It's just a zip tie. When I stick him in that little hole, that should come out all covered with differential fluid. But it actually doesn't, because that where you see it's shiny, that's from where I checked the fluid in the front. So you can see on the back side of that, we have no fluid on that. So this has been dry of fluid for a while. So that's the first part. That's where the first part of the problem started. The reason that it's dry is because the seals have been leaking in the diff, and the reason the seals have been leaking is because when you see me pry up on there like that, that's the bearings inside the case. So that right in there is there's a bearing, and the bearing is toast. I would say it was completely junk. When I go over to the other side, you see some more evidence of that. So if I pry up, sorry, I'm trying to make my camera work with one hand. So if I can actually pry up on this guy, so we have some movement here, and you can actually see him. And I put the camera in here. That inside the hole where it looks like a rib, that is a ring gear. So it is the entire inside of the case, and it meets with the pinion gear that's in the front that faces forward and backwards. So when I move this axle on the other side, I should not see the ring gear moving, but yours moves up and down. So that tells me the bearing's gone on that side of the case as well. I also inspected the pinion shaft bearing, and that is toast over on this side. So if we put a pry bar in here, we see all this stuff moving up and down. So that's more bearings. So I would, without taking it apart, and knowing how this axle is operating and how much floppiness we have, and the fact that it has no fluid in it whatsoever, I would say you're looking at new internals, new ring gear, new pinion shaft, or another replacement differential, or whatever. I would be very surprised if that diff ended up being, it might be, but I'd be surprised if it was worth rebuilding. So that would be probably the most expensive repair on the bike. Next, I wish we were done. We're not. Left rear diff. Give me a second here to get my bearings again. Okay, so now we're going to go up to the front diff, and that guy's not in quite as hard a shape. So when I checked on this fella, I actually found that there's fluid in there. So you can see it's kind of where it shines a little bit when I shine the camera. I'm not going to get a dipstick zip tie to show you that again. You can just trust me. But you can see where it's all shiny on the rear on this pinion shaft. So that's your pinion that goes in. Inside here, it's the same idea. It's just the other way around. There's a ring gear, pinion gear with a shaft. Prop shaft connects to the pinion shaft, and so on. So there's a set of bearings in here. So I have some play on that guy. not nearly like we have in the back end. I also have some play on the right side axle, or the left side axle pinion or bearing. And you can actually see where that guy's been leaking as well. So for that guy, I would say he just needs to be rebuilt, but he would need new seals, new bearings, and of course that differential would have to come out of the bike as well. Okay, so just continue on. I will tell you though that even though there's fluid in that diff, the fluid in it's quite dirty. I also noticed this one I can't show you. I'm not going to try. This is your prop shaft. There's another joint back that way. I noted that there was a lot of play in both the joints, so I would have to pop that out. That would come out as part of your differential work anyway. And just inspect the joints and see what they need for repair parts, if they can be repaired. We're getting there. We're almost done. In the back end for suspension work, I'm not going to try and show you this. I may be able to show you a little bit. There we go. That's your knuckle, your bearing carrier, or your knuckle bushings and sleeves, top and bottom. My finger's not working with my mouth. Same over here, same issue, top and bottom, bushings and sleeves, to get those guys back in shape. And I'm running around all over the place like a chicken. We're probably going to end up here on the front end somewhere. Ball joints, upper ball joint, and this one's, I can't really show you this one because there's a way up. I guess I can show you this little tiny bit. So now if I push up on it, you'll see the ball joint, the control arm where I have my pry bar at will go up, but the bearing carrier, the knuckle won't. So you can see it just moved there a little bit. Anyway, so that needs ball joints upper and lower. That one's really bad. I put a good idea that if I put a drift punch here and a hammer, I could probably hit that and just pop that apart. That's just a ball and socket joint once again. And when they get worn or corroded enough, they fall apart. So that's the issue with those guys. Tie rod ends are the same sort of way. They're the same basic ball and socket joint. For some reason, all the tie rod ends seem like they're decent, except for that one that's really loose. Tried to check your brake fluid to see what kind of shape that was in. I'm not going to lower the bike down to show you this, but one of the screws, the head is actually stripped in the right, so I can't get the cover off. I would have to take a little Dremel tool and cut a little slot in it to be able to get that screw out, but I know the fluid is down about half in there, and I would be very surprised if the fluid had ever been changed in this, so it's probably very likely, it's most likely just contaminated with dirt and water or whatever, and it would need to be flushed out and new brake fluid put in it. You have new looking tires on the bike. They're not brand new, but they're new. 3 of the 4 of them were flat. I don't know how, maybe you've had the bike parked for a while. One had 14 PSI in it and the other ones were all flat, but I've set them all at 8.5, and maybe what you can do is just check them at a later date and see if they still hold air the way they should. Let's see, I think that's it. So, my opinion. If it was my investment, you're way over the 50% of the value of the bike, probably closer to the value of the bike if it was in good running condition to be able to repair it. It is my opinion that you would be better advised to maybe make an investment in another machine than to try to undertake all these kinds of repairs. I'm just showing you the things that I can visually see. I haven't been able to take the bike out for a drive to be able to see how it works. I don't know how good a condition the engine is in itself. I did not check I checked the coolant level in your surge tank for your engine coolant, so you can see them through here through the slot. So the surge tank is full, but the radiator cap is underneath the plastics in the front rack. I did not take that off to be able to see if the radiator was full. That would be something else that I want to do, and I didn't run it up to operating temperature to make sure the cooling fan was working. So there's a few things there. There are unknowns. I wouldn't take it for a test drive until all the repairs were done anyway, because it's not in any condition to be driven around. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm very sorry for the super long video. I hope that this gives you a good idea of sort of what you're dealing with for a bike at the moment. Anyway, you have a great day.